Hi everyone, Tiffany Wyatt from AHN Pre-Hospital Care Services, here today to talk about our health and how healthy and good to us we really need to be, paying attention to our provider health as a whole totality of care for not only our patients, but also for us in the pre-hospital profession. I'm here today with Chris Vargo, pre-hospital response paramedic, specifically from Forbes Hospital, to discuss a personal and intimate view of what it means to truly identify taking care of ourselves in the pre-hospital profession. Chris, thank you so much for sharing your story and coming to us today in order to help others in our profession, hopefully in the future, near and far.
Okay, thanks, Tiff. I'm Chris Vargo. I've been a medic since 2004-ish, I think. Third generation EMS. Family grew up in this. Both parents and grandfather was in this. I grew up going to bad vehicle accidents all the time. This was normal. I thought this was what most normal kids went to. I mostly ran in Allegheny and Westmoreland County so far in my career. So I've always been considered a black cloud. I've always worked at the busy stations wherever I've worked at. And I noticed about 5 years ago, I started having a lot of trouble sleeping. Didn't feel like, absolutely dreaded going to work. Had all kind of issues getting out of bed. I couldn't sleep more than 2 or 3 hours at a time before waking up. I wake up immediately, be thinking about work. Wasn't any particular thing going on with it. It was just wake up immediately about work from a sound sleep. Even felt like I was dreaming about work. It pretty much made life living hell for 3 to 4 years. I managed to hide this from everybody. My wife didn't even realize that I was going through this. My co-workers, nobody really did. And then it came to a crashing halt. I had a boss at the time that needed to talk to me about something minor. I could barely even walk. It just happened to be my birthday. Couldn't even walk into the hospital. I had this massive panic attack. It just sheer terror. And this was just going to work on a normal day. Yeah, it was my birthday, but it was a normal day. Luckily, that boss saw that there was something going on with me and immediately pulled me off the trucks for a week. Didn't tell anybody what was going on, immediately tried to get me in to see some help. Not only was I didn't realize this at the time, having massive anxiety attacks and a severe depression, but I was also in severe burnout. And I know that's not necessarily a technical term, but that's what it was. I couldn't go to work. I went to work. I just absolutely dreaded it. I couldn't do anything. I come home, go right to sleep, go right back to work, go right to sleep, go right to work. That was it. It kept getting worse. It felt like a big hole that I could not get myself out of. So this is where I want people to understand what I went through so that we can potentially fix this and that other people don't have to go through this. So that boss knew a therapist that had dealt with first responders in the past and was supposedly actively trying to get involved with them again. We tried calling 5 times in the next 3 days to that therapist. We left multiple voicemails, sent emails, sent text messages. No reply at all. Not even I'm closed, no reply at all. Well, the next step was calling the company EAP, Employee Assistance Program. It had been touted through the brochures that it was like a crisis line, that when you're at your wit's end, call it, they'll be able to help you. I was at my wit's end finally one night in that small time span. I called it. The operator talked to me for about 25 minutes, and at the end of it proceeded to ask me if I would like my list of providers that they would pay for through regular mail or through email. Email was being the shorter time at 3 to 4 weeks minimum response. They sent me one. Obviously, I chose email. When I finally got the email, I went through the providers, did research with them online. The only one I could find that had any first responder or military/therapy was one that had done psychic evals for a police department at one time in his career. So they gave me 4 visits. I went and talked to them. I guess it helped. I don't know if it did or didn't. I really don't. I went back to work after that initial week off without really anybody knowing about what was going on. I just continued doing my work. I never called off during this. I never, other than that week, never took time off for it. Probably was a mistake on my end, but I was raised, you don't call off unless you're dead. The anxiety continued to get worse, the burnout continued to get worse, and the depression continued to get worse. So after calling about 10 to 15 therapists in my local area and not getting even an answered phone call from any of them, I left voicemails. I even pleaded for one just to tell me that they were open and couldn't accept patients. Nobody returned a phone call. I went on a website, that Code Green campaign, and they had a resource list on the last page, and there was somebody from Western PA. I called them. This lady, I apologize if I don't remember her name at this point, but she immediately wanted to work as a liaison to find somebody for me. She found somebody that she thought would help me, that had helped her tremendously. She said it was an adolescent psych person, but that was, to be honest with you, the first permanent / long-term solution I could come up with. It was about an hour away from my house. I drove it once to twice a week to go there. It was talk therapy. I did that for about a year. I don't know if it helped, don't know if it hurt. It helped at times, it did nothing at times. Their psychiatrist evaluated me and said, you definitely have anxiety and depression, pretty bad. And I guarantee this is all because of your first responder background. I was like, okay. She goes, unfortunately, I don't want you to be have that stigma attached to you, so I will not diagnose you with PTSD. I was like, not understanding this. Like, if this is what I have, why just not write it down? She wouldn't give me an answer. She just wanted me to have medication. Through this whole time I was offered medication, I did not accept it. I'd been on it previously for head injury, did not felt it worked for me or was beneficial. Again, going back, I was going to that therapist for about a year, and I was literally, the day I walked in to tell her this isn't really helping, I'm going to try to find another avenue, she discharged me saying that we had done good work and that was about as far as we could go together. We left, no hard feelings. It was better than nothing. I realized that this wasn't, I still was not much better. I still was the burnout. I've been in burnout, what I call hardcore burnout, for about a year to two now. My whole body hurt. It was just, not only was it affecting me mentally, it's affecting me physically also. One day I had an ACLS class down at West Penn, and it was with Karen Glass was there. And I spoke with her. She was working with the MSI on the Change the Culture, I believe it's called. And she put me in contact with a therapist who was unable to take me, but she got me referred to somebody else. It was another hour away from my home, a different direction, but it was able to get in. From there, things actually started getting better. This therapist had at least a clue what I was going through and had at least had a lot of trauma background. She had dealt with military personnel also. I had the screening done the first visit, and started having heavy EDMR therapy. EDMR, for anybody that doesn't know, is a therapy involving rapid eye movement and desensitizing your brain to painful memories. Now, I will tell you, from this time, I never had one single call that was bothering me. It was always just apparently build up. I see bad calls, but nothing that would wake me up for one particular call or anything like that. The EMDR has had tremendous results with the military and first responders across the country. And people that are doing it are seeing great results. It helped me tremendously, and I highly suggest if anybody needs to get help, find somebody that's trained with the EMDR. I also learned different coping and stress management techniques, breathing and other ways. It has helped me. So, just to summarize this took about 2.5 years to finally get a proper therapist that could help with what I was going through. Now, I was lucky I had a great support system at home. I continued to work throughout this entire time except for that 1 week. And I had suffered for a year or two without anyone knowing about it. And once finally a few people knew about it, I still kept it very close to the heart, but it helped tremendously. I finally had to realize that I was not going to get any better on my own. This was one disease, one thing that I could not treat on my own. This is hard for first responders to understand. I think this is something that we need to get out there. We can't do this on our own. We need to seek better help. So that therapist diagnosed me, or told me I had cumulative PTSD with anxiety, depression secondary. The severe sleep problems, for the most part, have went away. They have not completely, but mostly. The anxiety attacks have decreased tremendously after learning different ways of working through them. Depression sometimes is as bad as Eeyore, and sometimes I'm fine, happy-go-lucky. It really did feel like a giant hole I could not get out of. The embarrassment that I was worried about having, I truly found was somewhat unfounded. And I felt I had to tough it out because people depended on me to help them. This is a problem. This shouldn't be the way we think. I want everybody to know that I did learn how to manage my symptoms. I might never be cured of them, but I have learned to manage them. EMDR has helped tremendously. It is a very painless way of doing things. It was amazing. I did have one particular call that happened while I was in that therapy session. It was a cardiac arrest, run-of-the-mill cardiac arrest, and for some reason it was bothering me tremendously. 2 days later, I went into therapy, had an EMDR session of it, and I can talk about it without any problems, anything coming up. The breathing has helped tremendously. Now, this is stuff you can do with that. Now, I'm going to get into some stuff that I've found it helped me that isn't therapy or other medications, but I feel that we should be doing this anyway. I found some new hobbies that aren't EMS related, that don't have stress involved. For instance, I got into candle making. I highly suggest anybody in first responders get into something athletic or something creative, something that's not what we're used to doing. It actually is a tremendous stress relief. We got another puppy, and she has helped me tremendously. She seems to have taken to me and knows whenever I'm bad and sticks by me. I want everybody to know that this can happen to everyone, to anyone. It probably has happened to everyone to some degree. I feel that we've all changed since we've started as first responders, for better or for worse. My struggle to getting help is unacceptable, that this is how we have had it set up in this area. Things are starting to change. There are new resources available. There are people finally realizing that this is an issue. We must do better for each other. The old school thinking of just suck it up, buttercup needs to change. We need to start teaching people at the very beginning of their first responder careers, whether volunteer or paid, that we are going to be involved in these problems. We need to learn we need to build up resiliency to fight this. So in conclusion, again, this is my story. I do not have a psych degree. I do not have a science background. I hope this will at least help one person understand that they are not alone. And you are not alone in this fight. You can recover and thrive. Hopefully in the near future, there'll be easier ways of finding the resources. And if you ever need to talk to anybody, I'll be available. Thank you. Thanks, Steph.
Thank you so much, Chris, for sharing your personal struggles and also your personal achievements, because we're so happy that you're still with us today doing what we appreciate you doing every single day.
All right, thank you.
To all of you in the pre-hospital setting, remember, AHN Pre-Hospital Care Services, we never work alone. But more importantly, you as our valued providers, you are never alone, and you always have our support, our resources, or even any type of support that may be resources that you would like to share or share with others in our profession in order to increase, improve, and maintain our health and wellness of the providers within our profession. Please feel free at any point in time to reach out to any of the AHN Pre-Hospital Care Service Department if you would like to have more education regarding mental health, emotional health, stress, and even physical health, along with our Mission Wellness Initiative that is already going on our 4th year of improving our pre-hospital profession and the wellness within our profession as we move forward to support each other. Very soon in the future, we will be truly posting a lot of current resources to help, hotlines, podcasts, other things on EMS charts and also on our websites, along with education that we'll be producing in the future to get the word out about those special resources that Chris alluded to that are currently going on in order to help provide the support and necessary wellness means that we need in order to keep you, us, and our entire profession healthy. Thank you so very much for sharing this experience with us. And as always, AHN Pre-Hospital Care Services is bringing EDU and special stories to you directly. Be safe, be well, be healthy, and I look forward to seeing you soon.